Hi, this is Linda Amon Arts. Welcome to my world. And today I'm going to be doing a couple simple projects that are just for play, taking my mind off of COVID-19. In fact, today it was kind of funny. I was thinking this is in my series that's a breath of fresh air. And I just thought, well, this is in the face of COVID-19. So in your face, COVID-19, I'm going to enjoy today, take my mind off of all the things that are going on. And these are little paintings that I will probably use to bless people by giving them away. And I've got a little bit of a plan here, so I'm just going to let you see this. So my plan is I'm going to do colors that are peaceful, kind of a limited palette, so I don't have a lot of different colors to work with. I want these to be soft and enjoyable. Simple beauty, simplicity. I'm going to have it be natural, a little bit of playful. I'm going to be intentional in my thoughts on doing this. So as I was doing it, I have each piece of Arches 140 cold pressed paper, and I decided I'm going to do some little projects. So I'm just going to fold it over, and I'm going to use a little, they're called a bone folder. They're just a little popsicle stick or something like that. And you'll see on some of my videos how I tear paper, but that's how I'm going to tear the paper. And it's just going to be a small sheet. And I am going to take a ruler just to give myself some guidelines. And I'm not going to measure particularly, but I'm just going to eye it. I want 3 little rows. So if I go there, one on both sides, and again, you can measure these really accurate. I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm just going to do a very light line. And I'm going to do the width of the ruler. You've seen me do that before probably. And when I do that, it makes it easy to kind of come across, and I can change my mind on how I would cut this to be finished later. So I'm just going to do that. So that gives me 4 spots. And I think that what I will do is choose to come through the middle of this. See, I can change my mind as I go here. I'm going to come through here. And what I did is I just measured down the center of those little holes, and it gives me another little line. And then I'm going to take an eraser, and I'm going to have this be the middle one, so I'm going to take that one out. If this is confusing to you, then you can measure how you want, but that gave me 3 equal spaces. 1, 2, 3. And I didn't have to measure, I could just use the width of my ruler. And then this way, I think I want to do one in the middle, so I'll just pick in the middle somewhere and just do a very light line, and then come above it. And then I'm going to very lightly erase. I'm just doing a very light line so that I can have a basis of where I want to put these little images. Okay, so I'm going to just put a little X, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I'll do 9. And okay, so those are my spots where I'm going to be putting a little bit of an imagery. So I'm just going to erase everything else. And just get that all out of the way. There's all kinds of ways you can do this. Sometimes when I'm in play, I just let it happen how it's kind of going along, and don't worry that it wasn't maybe the most efficient way, but it gave me the block areas I want. And they were somewhat evenly in there. You could do it all kinds of ways. But that gave me a nice little grid. So I'm kind of be doing a little bit of geometric with organic. And you'll see that. Now I'm going to erase the X's, because certainly I do not want to have those when I watercolor over them. Okay, so now you can see they're very light, but I've got 9 little boxes. And what I'm going to do is choose a couple of simple colors, and I want these to be, like we said, my little plan. And I don't have to stay to my plan, I'm playing. But I want them peaceful, I want it limited so I don't have a lot of them, kind of soft colors. So I'm going to take some pretty bold colors, but I'm going to use them very watered down. So I'm going to just show you those colors I'm thinking of. So this is the Scarlet PYRROL. It's a really pretty one. It can be very bold. Let me show you how bright it can be. It can be very bright, but I'm going to, like I said, have them very whispered back. I'm going to take Phthalocycline Blue Red shade, which again, I'm going to very lightly put that in. I'm going to do a little bit of Quinacridone Rust because I think that's kind of a pretty soft color. They're just going to be kind of natural colors. And then I am going to take olive green. I like the olive green lately with the peach colors. I've noticed that out in the world right now, there's a lot of that soothing color. So I will write those colors down, but basically those are the 4 colors I'm going to use. Now, I'm going to take and erase these just a little bit more, so they're just a whisper of the line there, and it will give me the grid. Okay, so you just barely see those little squares. All right, so I'm going to come in and I'm just going to choose one of those colors. This one happens to be the olive green, and I'm going to go outside the lines, which you probably thought, wow, she was doing all those lines and now she's running out for them. But I've lightened them enough. I want this to be a little bit natural looking and not worry about exactingness. But for some reason, I kind of wanted them to be kind of equally spaced. And I'm actually going to soften the bottom of those so they bleed out a little bit. I'm rinsing really well between when I come back. So you can see they're just kind of a little blob color. And I think I will come over with the blue next. And again, kind of let it go outside of the lines. Those lines are very light now, so I shouldn't worry about them coming through. You could just eye this and not worry about measuring. Then I'm going to go with my Quinacridone Rust, and I'm going to bring it down under here. And just grab it out a little bit. And then I'm going to take and put green down here, just kind of as I want to play. So I can use the colors multiple times or once, it doesn't matter. Okay, then I'm going to take and pop the blue way over here because that would be kind of opposite over here, and I think I like that. What I will do is put this base color down very lightly, and this would be a good way for you to learn some new color palette colors that you might want to play with, or again, just let yourself enjoy the moment. So let's see, I've got 2 blues. Let's put another rust in there. Let's put it way down here. You could plan this out. Sometimes play is not having to plan everything. Okay, I've got 2 rust, I've got 2 of those. 1, 2, I think I've got 2 of everything. 2 green, 2 peach, 2 of those. So let's just take and choose another one. I'm going to put another blue in. Nope, blue's going to be by blue. Let me take the peach. Not the peach, but the Scarlet PYRROL. And that kind of pops them around a little bit. Okay, so there you are. I just have some swatches. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to show you the next step. But meanwhile, I'm going to start another one because I want to do a few of these while that's drying. I will do another one. This one, I'm going to just take some found objects. This is just the inside of, it was probably tape around it or ribbon. Oh, it was probably a ribbon roll. I'm not sure what it was. But anyway, I saved things like that. And this one, I'm just going to draw circles. I'm not going to be as measured. I'm just going to draw some circles. I love circles. I'm just going to do them diagonally down the page. And again, you can change your mind as you go. It's just a piece of paper with an education to be had. And every time you do something, you come up with other ideas. I kind of like that. I think I'll put one, let's do a diagonal and just do one over here from the other one. We might have one fall off the page up here. Maybe 2 more down here. Same thing as the other. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6. Let's do an odd number. Okay. And then let's take a cork and do some small circles. So these could just be little floating bubbles or little floating circles. And I can have some be squished up to each other, or I can have them farther away. And just for fun, I'm going to use the same palette colors, and then that way you can see how different something looks with a different palette. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do an odd number. Let's throw one over here. Where do I want it there? Yeah, let's do it here. Okay, I'm going to take an eraser and lightly come across everything so it's not as defined. And then I'm going to bring my color in. And you can do different colors if you like. I'm just going to do the same ones. Could have drawn a little bit lighter from the beginning, but I wanted you to be able to see what I was drawing. I use a Staedtler Mars eraser. It doesn't damage the paper, and I can just put the pressure to what I want to have it to be the best for taking it off. Okay, you might not even be able to see those. There you go. You can see some very light colors there. All right, so I'm going to take the same palette colors, and I'm just going to come in, get a little more of that off. And I'm not going to worry about them being exactly perfect circles. They'll be somewhat defined, but they don't have to be exact. Okay, so here are a few of the little starts I've got. There's the one that you saw me working on, and here is the one that I did past that. And actually, it's kind of a fun little memory. This was a very fancy dinner that I went to that they had these little desserts in these, and of course, knowing me, I took one and put in my coat pocket because I knew it would be nice for shapes. So it has a fun little memory for me. So what I've done is I let those all dry, and I just started some little detail work on here. You can freehand draw it, or you can draw it ahead. Remember, it has to be dry when you're working with pen. I'm using a Sharpie, just a thin Sharpie, and I'll just show you some of what I'm going to continue on here. And I'm just going to make these little organic little shapes on top. That pen looks like it's starting to run out. I'll use it here for a minute and see. And then I'm going to do some more here, little plant-like shapes. I think over here, these are all kind of small. I think I'll do a bigger one, kind of facing in this way. And I'm going to do all kinds of different materials to do some things with these. So I'm going to do some circles up here and do some connectivity of them. It will look similar to the one next door I just noticed, but let's change it. Let's make some really sloppy looking florals from it, since we kind of made something similar. All right, and down here I have, let's do another sloppy flower. We can do it a different color, and this one will do some leaves with it. My pen is kind of skipping around, and I think it's running out, so I will find another one here pretty soon and add. But right now, we're going to let that dry. You can see I've got just a little variety of little things in there for people to enjoy. And you would wait a little longer for that to dry, but for the pen to dry, but I want to keep you going. So let me do another one here. Okay, so you can see we've got a little variety in there. And you could take your time to think of a large variety. I'm just, again, deciding that today is a play day. All right, so I'm going to take and probably go away from all of my exacting colors I've already used. I'll start out with the same colors, I think. I'll just take and do maybe this little flower here with the blue that we used, but now we'll go a little bit darker. And I'm going to be embellishing this later. This is with the watercolor. I'm going to embellish it later with some pens and some colored pencils to give you some other ideas. So I'll just paint a couple of these on camera and then do some work that you don't have to watch me do each piece. I'm going to do this one a multicolor. I'm going to take I think I am going to stay with the same colors that are already there. So I'm going to take a little bit of our olive green and vary it over that coral kind of look that we have. And I'm going to vary it to be light and dark a little bit. So there'll be a variance. And I'm going to do a little skipping too, so that there's some little void places there. I can do some pen work and things with that. Okay, so you can see it there. Might just drop a little bit of the blue in there. Do you see how that kind of changed it just a bit? And then over here with my floral, this will make kind of a neutral because I'm going an orange tone on top of blue, as you know your color theory. But for me, I want these to be kind of mottled and kind of neutralized, so I don't mind that it's going to be a little bit different. And then I could take a little bit of green. I have enough variety of color, I think, that I can just stay with my, I'm doing it up here in the air, so it's probably going to be a little sloppier, but that'll actually add to the look. And then over here, let's get a little bit, let's do this as a green on green. Oops, quite a lot of paint there. Let's just grab and move it around a little bit. Going to take a little bit of that off with a bigger brush. It kind of got on there heavy. I'll just grab a little bit. And I think I want that one to bleed out a little bit into the color since it's the same color on top of each other. But see, we're getting variety. All right, so just going to do a couple more little bits here, and then we'll come back and show you how we will embellish this. Let's see, we could do the flower up here to the top. We did the orange on the blue, let's do the blue on the orange. So we have some opposites. I find that doing opposites are quite exciting. And again, we're going to be a little bit on the sloppy side, so it gives it a little bit more interest. And I'm going to come into the inside. Even while it's wet, it will move around and blend a little bit, and I'm just going to drop a little bit of that orange in. All right, so let's have you take a look at how it's coming along. It's got a nice little variety. These could even be, if you decide, as you remember, one of our other challenges that we had during this time was we actually did some bookmarks. So you could find that you've got these 3 sections, and maybe you divide them off into 3 bookmarks, or you leave it as a full page. I probably will leave it as a full page, but that's to be decided. All right, so let's pop another little color over there. Let's go with the green on there. And let's get a little sloppy. In fact, let's take a brush and just kind of let that bleed a little bit. You see how that gave it a soft little look. This is where you can just experiment with so many things. You know, especially, you know, I'm doing it on camera. You can do it in your own little private studio and have fun practicing ideas. And these, as I said, would make fabulous little gifts. I call this disposable art. And that basically means that if somebody is just enjoying it for the moment and they discard it someday, that's really okay. But I think it's going to come out kind of fun. They may want to keep it. All right, I'm going to just do a little spot of color on the inside just to diffuse that down. All right, so there you go. And then I will do some things on this one and show you some different effects. So we're back after doing a little bit of enhancing. I did a little bit on the squares. And I'm going to show you a couple things that you can do to add if you like to. I put a little bit more color in this one. I might leave that one for a minute, but this one I want to show you a couple different products. They're fun to use. First of all, I love the INKTENSE watercolor pencils. They're water soluble watercolor pencils. And then another thing that I have been using a lot are these acrylic pens. They're called a POSCA. And I don't know how easy they are to get right now, but you could use colored pens, all kinds of things. But what I like about these is you can kind of do on top of watercolor pretty easily. So I'm going to just take some colors that are kind of complementary of what we have here and kind of go along with. So I'm going to take some of the blue here, and I can just, because it's an acrylic pen, I can just come and it just drops that little dot of color. You have to activate them by kind of pushing them up and down the first time. And then the other thing is you want to keep them really capped tight. If you don't keep them really tight, it's possible they would dry out. I don't have one that's exactly in that green color, but I think maybe a brown would be okay. So I'm going to go dots down here. Yeah, the brown looks good. But this just gives a little bit, I love circles and dots and things like that and lines. It just gives a little bit of an extra texture down the side. And then you could come along other places in the work and do some highlights. I think I have a white here that's working. I do. So I'm going to come and just, oops, let me show you how you have to do them up and down to get them going, and then you get this blob of paint, and then you can come back and put it in here. So that one's looks like it's about not working anymore, so we may have to go to a different color. Yep, this one is pretty much out. Oh, now I was wrong. It started activating. Sometimes it takes, they're a little bit stubborn. But see, I can just do a little highlight on some of those areas. So now that it's working again, sometimes you waste a little bit of paint getting them to work. And I noticed that if you let them go for a long time between use, it's not great because they don't hold up as well. Yeah, this white one's just about out. But you can see how that gave a little bit of emphasis. So I'm going to take the blue one here and just do, I know it's activated and working, I'm going to match the color that was up on that side with just a little bit of a dark line in here. Give it a little more thickness there and adds to that color. See how it gave a little, I don't know if you can see it on there. Anyway, there's a little bit different darkness there. And then I think I want to keep these pretty simple. Now, since my white Posca did not work, I'm going to get a white watercolor pencil, and I'm going to come in and give some of the emphasis with the colored pencil, because I want to put some white on these. And I just come around a little bit. See that? It just gives a little bit of a highlight. Do you see that? So I'm going to come on the dark green side of each of these little guys and just put a little, I'm not going to emulsify this. I'm going to let it stay like a watercolor pencil and not add back into it. It will give a softness to it. And on this side, I think I want to go a little bit of the white here as well. It will just kind of give it a little shimmer. Okay, see the shimmer? I think that gives a nice little look. A little bit more here. So you could use some white gel pens. These are watercolor pencils, regular color pencils, pastels. Anything that you do is going to become like a mixed media if you move away from the watercolor. But I think you'll see that those little embellishments help. And then over here, you could work some more and do that too. So I hope this gives you some ideas. I'm going to do a few more off camera and probably show those to you as well. Thank you. Enjoy. So I'm back with, I have done a little bit of embellishing more, And you'll notice that this one, the last time you saw it, I had it this direction. And as I continued with some little thoughts on it, I decided I wanted to reverse it. So once it's signed, that's the direction it is. And then my little circles went really wild. And remember, it's playtime. So I just did all kinds of things. I even signed it down there in one of the little circles. It's lightly matted. I might even come back to this and do it more. But you'll notice these are all in a same color palette, which gave us some of the same colors to work with and then be able to enhance that. One of the little tricks I did on this that I thought I'd give you thoughts on is when I started outlining with the Sharpie on the circles, I wasn't as accurate as I wanted to be for the perfect circle. So then I thought, oh, that gives me all kinds of freedom to go ahead and make those circles different shapes, thicknesses. They're still got a circular form, but they are able to be changed as I would go. So that's a little trick. If you can't get a straight line, make it different. Then what you're going to do in your project is you are going to take these colors, and you could maybe add another. This one I added a little bit different of a palette. But here's what I did. I took those rectangles. We had squares here. So this time I decided to take rectangles, made the little boxes, and then just did a version where it is a little more realism, still the plant life and nature, but coming up with doing the dark on this side only and then bringing the boxes through. So you're taking your ideas of play with shapes, color, and the choices you made, and they bring you to inspiration to the next level of designing. So I felt this was a good next step. Then I've got another one I'm working on, and I'll do a little bit of it for you. And I did this one, same idea, where I took and put in 2 squares, took my colors, blended some plant life, did some little dots and circles, and now I'm going to come in and put some color into these. And I'm going to use 2 colors. I'm going to use Azo Yellow. Move that out of the way for a minute. Azo Yellow, and then I'm going to blend it down into the Phthalocycline Blue shade, red shade, pardon me, Phthalocycline Blue, red shade. There we go. And that will make this, where they meet, of course, it will make it green. So I'm going to put a fair amount of water. So this will be kind of a blended look here. I'm going to put a little bit of water. I'm going to rock and roll it a little bit. Water will only go where you tell it to. The paint will only go where you want it to by the water you put in. I'm going to come all the way down. I'm going to circular around. I don't mind going over those little dots on some of it. I'm not going to go over my plant stuff as much. And so I'm going to come all the way down, and then I will rock and roll it some more. Wherever you do not put water or the paint, the only reason it would go past that is if you got so much water, gravity made it move. So as I rock and roll this with some more yellow in here, I'm going to just tip some of the Azo Yellow in. I'll bring it up where you can see it. And a little bit of water. And I'll get this blended effect. And it's going to run around those little flowers. And I'm going to do the same thing on the lower level. And remember, watercolor always lightens up. So know that whatever I'm doing here will lighten it up. So I'm going to go pretty bold on some of the blue. I'm just going to come down. I can run over that little stem. It'll be just fine. And I'm going to come around the edge. I want to go just past this little spot here. And then I'm going to take my, I didn't clean my brush this time, so it's got a little bit of the yellow in it. And because we've got it pretty wet here, I'm going to work kind of fast because I'm working on the paper without water first. And I'm going to come down to the base here, run right over my little dots. It'll make them multicolored under there. I can see I didn't get past that design on that side. I will come back over there in a minute. So I'm going to rock and roll this area. Okay, I'm going to put just a little bit of water and let it melt around. course, the top is moving again a little bit, but I'm not too concerned. And then over here, I'm going to come past that line, put a little yellow in, grab a little bit of the blue, and match it up to the other side. And I don't mind little skips once in a while. That makes a little more, that's how I've kind of designed the rest of this piece. All right, so now we have taken and added another dimension with our ideas from what we came from the very beginning of playing with circles, squares, rectangles, a limited palette, and then coming up with the geometric and the organic. So I'm just going to hover a mat over this so you can kind of see. It would really turn out very lovely. And then this, because it's still wet, I don't want to get right down on it, but this one, you can see, it really works out nice. So I will take a little picture of each of these and post into this video at the end of this video so that you can see them kind of lined up. But I would encourage you to come through and take the ideas that you learn from play and expand those to the next designing. So during COVID-19, this has been a real enlightening design for me. I really like this one a lot. I like this one too, but this one's just a favorite. And I don't know if it's because of the very geometric with the organic coming through and then the white spaces of it. But I like this one, and maybe it's probably because of the mottled colors through. So I hope this encourages you during this time. I would say that what you want to do for your assignment is that you would do one or two that would be in play, and then you're going to take the rest of the time and work on a design that you want to go a little bit farther. Thank you for joining me.